3 feet, whatever was needed to accommodate for, you know, sewer lines, pipelines, gas lines, so forth, so.
Who did that come from?
That was Greg Williams, a surveyor of Putnam County. I couldn't get a hold of Pinterest.
I think, simply put, from my perspective, is that if you were to take a visual from up above, his house is further back than across the street because of that sewer line. Does that make sense? Therefore, the 3 feet that he's asking for is
That 3 feet still keeps him further back
Correct.
than across the
Correct.
street?
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
So in other words, with the extra 3 feet, it falls within the 30-foot requirement.
correct. Well, it falls in with the, from the county requirements.
30-foot setback.
Right,
So it falls within the 30-foot setback of Putnam County.
correct.
Why has it, I don't understand what changed since the last meeting, because I thought in the last meeting, we discussed that he was looking for a 3 to 4 foot variance on the 30-foot setback, but now he's within the 30-foot setback.
His property line basically starts out back further than other people's property lines. It has nothing to do with the 30 feet that we ask from the property line. It has to do with the fact that his property line is further back than normal because of the sewer line that is in the ground between the road and his house. Does that make sense?
I get your point, but for the wider variance, he would be within the, because his property line would go further towards the road, but for the variance. So from Paulie's point of view, is you're looking down at it, and also if you look at it from symmetry among the lots, it'd be like this in his neighborhood. He's back farther because of where that easement is.
So there-
Are we making a variance? I think we are.
But
I think we are authorizing the literal variance because he's not.
Without knowing that the easement's there, his property already looks like it's set back further than the rest of the.
It looks like it is.
Right.
Correct.
So aesthetically, it's not gonna make a difference.
Correct. And it's like, it'd be like, if this is the property line across the street, his property line is here, on the other side of the street. So his property line starts out further back than what everybody else's property line starts out at because of the sewer line that goes along the front of that.
So his house is set deeper from the road than the other side of the street
Correct.
houses.
Correct,
And he doesn't have a house on either side of his lot.
that's correct.
So therefore,
We are giving him a variance.
there is no variance needed. The house,
There is a variance needed from our A&E committee because
Right.
he is gonna be 27 feet back from his property line instead of 30 feet back from his property line with the front of his garage. But because his property line is back, he is asking for a variance because that property line is back. You understand?
I understand 100%. My point is, the sewers were put in before or after his house was built.
After,
So his house was built first.
no,
No, the sewer line was put in first, right?
no, the roads in Gettysburg, well,
Patriots Landing.
Patriots Landing. The roads were in first in most of the additions before the sewers were put in. People had,
Septic.
not septic, but holding tanks
Holding tanks.
to start with.
I think what I'm trying to understand, and I still don't understand it, you're saying the back of his property line for some reason was moved because of the sewer line? I'm not getting the concept of what the sewer has to do with it.
I can help you, Tom. I live in the same neighborhood, Jeff Brooks, 123 Patriots Landing. The sewer is across the street from me.
On his side?
It's on the other side of the road from where our house is. Therefore, my property line is closer to the street. Whereas his sewer line, the sewer line is on his side of the street, so there would be an easement grant there, if you would, from the Conservancy District, so his property line starts out farther away from the road.
See, but all these properties were platted before sewers were put in. So, I mean, the platting of the parcel itself has nothing to do with the sewer, et cetera, because the sewers weren't there when the property was platted. So, again, the confusion to me is we're talking about sewers and sewer lines, and on his property, it's because of that, you're saying his property was replatted? Because when you come up with a plat, you establish the property line, period. So the property was platted before the sewer, so the property lines were established before that. That's what I'm trying to say. Am I wrong in terms of that? I mean, because
You got me confused now.
No, you shouldn't be confused, it's very simple. When Heritage Lake was
I
platted
understand what you're
by
saying.
Putnam County, that's when property lines were established. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so the lines were there. And at that point in time, there was no vision of sewers. So the sewer doesn't come into it at all.
That's why the right-of-ways are all platted at 20 foot on the roads and 60 foot diameter on the cul-de-sacs, is to allow space for sewer lines, fiber optic cable, whatever. So it was platted, all of them were platted in 1971 and 72, and all of them have the same specs on the front of each plat book. We got them in the room right across the hall if you want to read them.
Yeah, and it says 30 feet setback.
Absolutely, from the front property line.
But the difference is the easements. There's a number of homes that only have 15 feet.
No, there isn't.
Yeah. There are, because that's the minimum out here. I've got them, you can hop on Google and measure. I've got about 20 of them that I took an aerial photograph that are 45 feet, which would be 15 plus the 30. I'm 52 feet. Minimum is 15 feet. Now, you can make it 20, you can make it 22, you can make it 24, depending on where you're at, and that's what they did when they designed this lots. Now I'm further back where my property starts, and that's the issue. 22 feet instead of 15 feet. It is 15 feet minimum.
But your house, the front of your house, let's not talk about the porch, the garage, anything, or the sidewalk.
Mhm.
The front of your house is set back 30 feet,
32.
32 feet, correct?
Yes.
So then you can make your garage 2 feet longer and still be within the 30-foot setback.
No. No, it would be, it's right here. Here's an update. Would you guys, all ideas?
Is there any benefit if I get the plat?
You could get the plat, and what that will show you was the definition right on the front page of the plat, 30 feet setback.
Here's the original plot, and then there's what I want to do. Because I have an existing sidewalk.
In the statement, the 15-foot setback is a county rule that may be for parts of the county, but that does not pertain to Heritage Lane.
Exactly, that is true. You're your own entity, they can make 20 feet, 15 feet, whatever they deem necessary in the Thoroughfare Act, which got passed when the subdivision got approved. So, whatever basically you gotta say when they designed it is whatever it is. Some are further back, some are further closer, I mean, it just depending on where it lays and what utilities are in the underground, more or less are granted.
So, let me have you clarify something. The setback on your house is what?
30 feet, just like everybody else.
30 feet?
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's shifted back because I have that 22 feet.
It's still
instead of
from the
15.
property line, though. Your property line to where your house is.
Yes.
30. Is it 30?
Not according to this drawing,
No,
it's 32,
yeah,
32, okay.
isn't that right?
yes,
And that's the plat.
So you,
Well, this shows to the
your
porch, though.
porch is only 2 feet wide?
no, that shows to the porch, that porch is 4 feet wide. 4 feet wide, you got
Okay, now I'm really
This
getting,
Okay,
this drawing
it's
shows 32.
32
from
to the front of the
property line
porch.
to the front of the porch.
Yeah, plus an
And-
additional 4 foot.
so your house is 34, 36 feet
36?
Yeah,
from the property line?
yes,
So therefore, no variance is needed.
I do need a
That's what it
variance.
sounds like to me.
yes.
But according, if what we're saying, and I'll just believe you, I don't, these numbers to me, I'm not sure
The numbers keep
where the
changing, I think.
where the numbers come from, but I wouldn't think that, I would have thought the setback of the house, you're saying, somebody's saying it's 34 feet,
36 feet.
36 feet. The
Yes.
setback of the house.
32 plus the 4.
And what's the distance between the front of the house and the front of your garage?
Not the house.
On the second sheet, it's going to be 7 feet.
Okay, so he needs a 1 foot
1 foot
variance.
Are we looking from the property line to the front of the house or the front of the garage?
Well, we're trying to figure out what the house
Current
setback is.
Which is 36.
So if the house setback is truly 36, and basically I guess we're
From the
trying
front
to
of the
figure out from the
garage.
house to the front of the garage.
Is 7 feet.
That makes it 29.
No, it doesn't make it 29, it only makes it 37. 37.
And he went to
Yeah.
Purdue, forgive him.
37 feet to the back of the house, to the build line. I want to go 40 feet, which would be an additional 3 feet past the building.
Why don't you just go why don't you take 1 foot off the front of the garage? I mean, is that 1 foot gonna be so critical in terms of you getting all your automobiles in and your tractors in?
Yeah,
1 foot is gonna be that critical.
well, two, that sidewalk, the sidewalk won't hit a side door. It'll be too short. It's either I get 3 feet or I go minus 3 feet. So the sidewalk runs in front of the garage. It'll be a difference of 6 feet. Either I get 3 feet or I go back minus 3 feet.
Well, again, my position is we can't go against the governance of the county, and the governance of the county is 30 feet. So,
It's not, and you can, because it's your own entity.
no, sir. The governance priority, as I said last time, goes from the federal to the state to the county to us, whichever is more restricted.
When I talk
And
to,
so currently, Putnam County being 30 feet setback from the front would be more restricted.
I think we have enough information
Yes.
for us to discuss it in a meeting and
Yeah,
get back up.
yeah, we'll do what we tried to do last
Yeah,
time.
that's fine, thank you guys.
After this session,
Thanks for all your
the board will,
information.
go back, have an executive session, and Ken will have you an answer for you tomorrow.
Yep,
All right,
thank you.
thank you for the work you did to give us this information.
No problem.
Okay, guys, we'll take this to executive. Next item on the agenda, insurance requirement for ATV, UTV golf carts. Mr. Ron Riggin?
Yes,
Jim
Thank you.
Taggart's already here.
Okay.
did Mr. Tackett?
I'm right here.
Right there, okay. I think, Ken, I'll ask you to join in here with me on this. We had discussed earlier, the liability and the insurance coverage on ATVs, UTVs, golf carts, and so forth here at the lake, which we do not have now. And the subject was brought up that we might want to talk to our insurance agent, you, and see where we actually stood if and when we had a problem. And if you might just kind of clarify for us here what your readings are on this.
Well, it's a loaded question. First off, when you talk liability, your attorney's not here, is it?
No,
No.
Okay. Well, I'm not a lawyer, I'm an insurance agent. I can speak on past practices. So I went down to the campground, looked around with Ken. So the bottom line is, let's say that I am a camper down there and I've got a golf cart. And I drive and hit somebody's grandchild. I am responsible for the damage that I caused to that child or adult or anybody else. There's a fine line. You guys don't make people have insurance on those on your common ground, to my understanding now. Is that correct? There's no proof, like the boat. So when I put my boat every year, I've got to hand her my
Right, there's
insurance policy.
there's nothing in writing right now that they're not required.
I mean, I don't know, because I don't go down there much,
Mhm.
if there's a problem. I mean, people drink and, you know, everybody makes mistakes. If you were looking at that, in my opinion, because I live here, I would make him get a sticker, if that's what you decide, and for $2, just so you know that golf cart is on that property or ATV, so you know they've come in, and provide, at the beginning of the year, liability. So I used to live in Avon until I moved out here, had a golf cart because I lived on the golf course. So I added it to my car insurance. Cost me $68 a year for a $5,000 golf cart. And I drove it on the road and getting to and from golf course. It's not expensive. So if somebody has an older golf cart and they don't want to put comp and collision on there, they just want to put it as liability, I'll use a round number of $40 a year it would cost.
Yeah.
Same thing with an ATV. If somebody's got a nice ATV, I guarantee they got insurance for it with liability. So I don't know, is there a requirement now? I don't think there is. But how much liability do you need for a boat? You guys just look to see if it's insured, right?
Well,
Now, there is a liability on the boat, I think it's $1 million.
I don't think that we
No, it's not
question
that.
the amount, I just think we're on the boats.
Just proof of
I don't think we
Just
put an
have proof
amount
of
on it.
insurance, I'm not sure we put a number on it.
So the cheapest you could get, I would assume, a boat would be $100,000. That's the cheapest you can buy liability, I would assume.
Right.
So I wouldn't sell,
Yeah.
I always do more, but let's just use 100,000. So most people, car insurance, if you think about what's on your limit, probably have 100, 300, 100.
Right.
at least. And that would follow that ATV, your golf cart. I don't know what else they have out here.
Yeah.
Now, will you be sued? I guess was one question somebody asked me.
Sure.
Well, that's why I like to have your lawyer here. A lawyer's gonna sue everybody. They're gonna sue the person that owned the golf cart. What's your expectation? I mean, you don't own the golf cart, so you really will have a battle. The insurance company will, that we don't own that golf cart. That guy got drunk, what's that have to do with us? But we would have to defend you. And they always go for the deepest pockets. So, you know, I hate to put restrictions on people as a person that lives here any more than you have to. And you would like to think people are adults that, yes, I have my golf cart insured or my ATV, just for their own personal liability, what they're gonna lose. Because if they hit somebody, hurt them bad, you're gonna be paying the medical expenses.
Yeah, so would we become second or third liability, say second liability if that were to happen? Would they
Well-
have any grounds that it could come back?
That would be, I can give you my outside opinion, I'm not a lawyer, we'll say that again.
I appreciate that.
Anybody can sue anybody.
Right.
Okay, now, it'd be our job to defend you that you had no responsibility some guy at 2 in the morning jumped up, went to the restroom on his golf cart and ran somebody over. What, I mean, how are you to prevent that?
What would the difference be between that scenario and somebody doing that in their own car on our public
Be
property?
the same thing? It
I
would be
mean,
their liability.
So we're not gonna require everybody to have Heritage Lake stickers on our cars, so how are we gonna
No,
police?
that, I don't wanna, correct.
I mean, where's the-
State
where's
law
the-
cars are different than,
But I think as a state law that you have to,
Yeah.
you're gonna operate a vehicle, you have to have it.
But you gotta show it when you get your tags.
However, if there's enough
Or
damage
tested.
done, if there's enough damage done with somebody that has a car, and they have the least amount of legal insurance they could have on that car, that damage may exceed that by far, and they might come after,
so statistically,
yeah.
if someone, you guys leave tonight, or I do, go home, and someone slams into you, you got a 30% chance in our state, a lot of it, don't have insurance. You have a 46% chance they don't have enough insurance, which is sad. That's a true fact.
When you lived on the golf course, this cart was your own personal cart, correct?
Yes,
Did the golf course require you to have insurance?
no, it was a private country club. They did not. It would be up to everybody's own liability
Sure.
to
Thank you.
be smart enough not to lose something. But, you know, I don't want to press anything on people. You know, it's, I'd like to think as an adult, you have something you're gonna insure, or protect your own wealth
Sure.
by having insurance. But if somebody has a 15-year-old golf cart worth $200, and they do hurt somebody, but, you know, what are the odds? And I don't wanna be like Big Brother, but, you know, either you make it cheap for them by giving them a sticker for $2 to say it, or you continue on the way you've done.
But again, I think, if we would require this, to me, it would seem like we would have more responsibility towards the person having the insurance or not having the insurance.
Because we'd be responsible for enforcement,
At
right?
least for,
Correct.
at least for
Well,
diligence.
yeah, I mean, I
But we would
think,
be responsible for is
Well, there's-
enforcement, which means we're gonna have to check the golf carts, either if they're on common property, or more likely than not, on the road also.
But you
Well,
don't have to
that's-
worry about the road because you
yeah,
don't own the road. But it's like, you know, I'll use my boat, for example. So I have it on, well, not on the water, it's on the lift, but let's say March 15th, I take it out. My policy renews March 1st, so let's say I forgot. But I handed them an insurance policy that was good March 1st to March 1st. And I go hurt somebody or slam into somebody's dock, that would be 100% my fault because I let my insurance expire. So it's not like you know, every year you make sure they have it, but you don't look like to enforce the dates in June. It would take you guys so much paperwork to follow up. Did they renew their policy? You know what I'm saying? It's more of a, I guess, to check that they have it at the beginning and you just hope they kept it. I mean, it would be a paper nightmare for you to follow up all the time.
Would they have any coverage under homeowners for ATVs?
Based on what an ATV now, a golf cart can be put on your homeowner's liability. If you use it just on your so if I have a golf cart and I never leave 19 Gettysburg, that would be covered by my homeowners, but I'm just on my property. And once I exit it off, a lawyer's gonna sue your homeowners though too, because they're gonna try to get hold of some liability.
Jim?
I think the only question we ought to be worried about, and here's a scenario, one of these dreadful things happens, will our policy respond?
Has to.
So if our policy responds, then the only thing that we get by requiring a $2 sticker is that we aid our insurer in their defense against us.
Well, you're trying to put, I wish your lawyer was here. So you're trying to put your liability off on them because you said, hey, they presented you that they had it. The fact that they canceled it's not your responsibility.
But it aids in our defense,
It does.
which you'd say that our insurance would respond in either event.
Yeah, because you'd be sued, they'd have to respond in some form. Because if somebody sues the POA on top of John Smith, they have to respond on your behalf because you own the property. They're gonna do everything they can to get out of it, because we didn't
Sure.
control it, but yeah, so it's like, I'm trying to think, I took my grandkids with a jump and playing field, you gotta sign your life away for your kid
Yeah.
to do a flip. Well,
That's true.
I'm,
So is it enough just to have that documented in our rules, or do we have to go the extra step with a sticker and with checking the
well,
registration?
the only
or
reason I brought up
insurance?
sticker when I was talking to Ken, how do you know that, I don't know when the campground opens, how would you know that they checked in and handed it to whoever's down there if they didn't have a sticker on it? I mean, I don't know, you got a good idea.
Well, they
What if we decide we don't wanna check it, and we just say, hey, look, this is the rule, you guys, if you're gonna run it,
you
you
know,
gotta have insurance and.
I was in here the other day and I took out some of your mail when I was going to the post office myself.
You went through our mail?
Yeah.
Yeah, I delivered it, yeah. I was in here twice, and I thought, well, I'm going to the post office now, so. But it was something to do with, I knew two of the names that I insured, okay? I didn't know they had camp things, but I noticed their names on it. I don't know what time period that is. You could be sending them a letter and making them sign it and send it back to you that, hey, by the way, you're responsible for your golf cart, whatever, and you better have insurance on it. And this is your notification from the POA.
That's something we could bundle
We
in
could just
with
add
our,
that
with
to
our
the lease.
with our
Well,
fees,
that's,
yeah.
see, that's where,
Add it
that's
to
where
the-
I'm coming from, is we should just merely add something in the lease that they can put their insurance agent or their policy number and the company.
Yeah, and they could write it down, and you've done something to prevent, and I'm not here to make people buy something. I'd like
No,
to
no,
think about
that's-
it.
and that's
that's why I
not
keep
the point.
saying, I hate to do this, but you could put something in your lease that says, hey, you were responsible for, if you bring one of these
Right.
items,
Right.
you know, or a scooter, I mean, heck, I never.
Well, I mean, I think we have the same issue, Ken, on the boats. They could come in with the policy and have everything set up and they get the sticker, they could go tomorrow and cancel it.
That is correct,
We're not here to,
I agree.
you know, try
It'd
to
be-
enforce that. All we want is something that says, if we put it in the rules, something that says that the manager, whether it be on the lake, at common ground, or the campground, could just merely look at the machine and see the sticker.
Right.
As long as that sticker's on there, I don't wanna sound facetious, but do we really care if he got insurance? What we're proving is he knew that he had to have insurance. If he canceled it, he done it on his own fact.
Would that protect us in
It
any way?
Yeah, it sure would.
If he
Help.
drops.
You're doing your due diligence, I mean, your attorney could write up part of the contract, I mean.
Because that's the way it is. I mean, we don't enforce it.
So basically, what you're saying is the campground's gonna have these stickers, and when they fill out their application for the campground, they're gonna say, I'm insured, and here's my policy number, and then you're gonna give them a sticker.
You can do it at, you can do it at the campground, you can do one sticker and put it on for anything at the common, it's on the common ground.
Cause it's
That
gotta
handles-
go beyond the campground.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Because people
yeah.
drive into the
It can't just
marina,
be- it can't be
probably
everywhere.
people come
Keeping
down
their stuff at
here,
their
at
house.
least during feast and ski, I'm sure, they drive their golf carts down here. So
I'm with you.
it has to be more.
Has to go with our
global than
dues. Yeah.
Just the marina.
Jim?
You mentioned diligence, so is us doing diligence a condition for your policy to provide us protection?
No.
Then I
Yeah, no.
really just don't get this.
Well, you guys brought it up to me,
I'm not
No.
saying anything other than that,
well, no,
but
I
it just,
mean, it helped, if something, when
it
you
would
say.
aid the insurer in our defense.
Yes, if something bad, so we go worst case scenario, somebody got hurt really bad and they're suing you for $300,000.
And he fibbed and said that he had
Yes,
this.
it would aid that this guy lied, you told him what he had to have, it gets you a percentage of the claim away from you. And attorneys always look to go
Sure.
fault. I mean, they're gonna waver out, are you 30% at fault or 80% at fault? And that's all that.
What's that, like comparative negligence or something?
Yeah. Wish we didn't have to have this conversation, it's the world we live in.
Yeah.
I mean, the bottom line.
Would we simply be covered if it's just in our rules somewhere that you must have insurance for X amount of dollars? to have any golf cart, ATV on any common property.
Ask your attorney, that would be the one,
That-
that would be attorney question. Yeah. My answer was, I think absolutely yes, Ken.
We should be able to ask the insurer that question. Our attorney can't interpret your contract.
No, but what he can say is what can get away from you. You said he was gonna put in the rules, okay? I thought that, did I
Yeah,
misunderstand you? So Ken's saying, you guys are gonna put in your rules that everybody that's on common ground has to have X amount, whatever. I would have your attorney write up that little phrase.
Sure.
And that's all I'm saying.
I think we've got enough information if we're gonna go into exec meeting and suggest we take it one step further.
So you wanna continue the discussion in executive, we can't vote on it, you know.
Correct.
Okay. Do you want this as a follow-up to the January board meeting?
We have to get it sooner sometime.
Because when do the rule books get written?
We
up?
figured that we could wait until as late as January to be okay.
Board meeting in January is the end of the month. Is that still okay? Oh, no, that's second week, right?
Yeah,
Is that still gonna give you enough time?
yeah, we could be a one.
You would have one vote?
Yeah,
Jim,
we
have
have
to-
to-
All I was saying
the
is,
motion
if you're gonna
from
change your
back in
rules,
November was for one vote.
and you're gonna
Hang on,
put
hang
words,
on.
I had to have your
Hold on.
attorney write up that little.
Yeah, I got- I got
And
that.
just, because he'd say, oh, these are the words we gotta put in, that you're fiduciary responsible is the word he's gonna use. Not-
Okay, go ahead.
No, I just made the comment that when this was, first brought up, it was we came up with a one-time vote, when one presented
Yeah.
a one-time vote to get it through.
So I wanna take this to, we'll have continued discussion in exec. Bring it to the January, what, 10th board meeting?
Yeah, second week, whatever.
6th?
So.
Now, does that give us time to get it in?
Yeah, Ken said if we can have it ready, one vote in January.
Be the 14th.
14th, okay.
Second.
Is that gonna give us enough time if we have to have Tanner's approval of the verbiage, or can we write that rule in ourselves? I mean, does it take? I don't know that it would necessarily have to go to Tanner for that.
Ken, did you say that was the 14th, January 14th?
Yeah.
Seems like he could give us that verbiage over the phone.
Yeah.
I would agree, it still needs to come from the attorney, because bottom line is, the attorney is the one that's going to be defending us
Okay,
for that rule, and I think the rule has to be in a, I know we have multiple rule books, guidelines, but it has to be in a general one.
Yeah, that's good, the community
And
also.
it has to go beyond the marina, beyond the campground.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we do have general sets, I think we do have general sets of rules, if I'm not mistaken.
So would this be old business?
Old business, eh? Yep. Okay.
Jim, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you,
man.
sir. Next item, maintenance building addition, Ken.
This is just something that I've thrown together to discuss, whether it's this year, next year. I had a small conversation with Dwayne, and basically to see if there's any interest in me presenting it to Clear Creek. We've got some nice equipment that we've acquired over the last few years with the tractors, the bush hog, and our new boat and stuff like that. And it just drives me nuts that we really have no place to store it, that it just sits out in the weather. I discussed it with Dwayne. He didn't see a problem with it, but he's only one person on their board. They have a meeting this Thursday. I went to Menards and priced this probably would be us installing it. I would think it'd be fairly simple. To install a 24 by 60 three-sided building, just to you know, protective from the weather, a 24 by 60 in the amount of $8,547. And that would be built and constructed on the back side of our current maintenance building, which is owned by Clear Creek. When we were discussing the boat storage facility on the 30 acres, we had designed one end of the building for this purpose, to store some of the equipment in. At the end of the day, my goal is to make sure our equipment lasts as long as it possibly can. And keeping it out of the weather would definitely help that. So I'm throwing it out to you guys to see what your opinion is, whether it's something that I discuss with Clear Creek on Thursday, see how much interest they have in their three-man board. If it's something you want to table until after the first of the year. So,
Is it
We
something that
still
would
have some
require?
money do we still have some money if we committed it before the first of the year, that it would be?
well, I've put some numbers together for that from what we earmarked for some of the expenditures. Some of it we kind of earmarked a little high. We earmarked about 15,000 for the clubhouse point. I've purchased the material for that of $5,244. I got a quote for concrete with hardware this morning, about $2,100. So we're looking at about $7,400, and we earmarked 15,000 for it. So we were about half of that. The picnic tables and the shade screen, we earmarked about 3,500. I've got that material and everything ready to go for 2107. The clubhouse chairs, we marked $2,000 for. I've got 100 chairs coming tomorrow for $1,800. That's all totaling about $31,455. Where we earmarked $40,500. The only thing that I have not purchased or looked at yet was flooring for this building upstairs. So we will probably be with the flooring, we'll probably be pretty close to what we earmarked. If we want to move forward with that, we can. If not, we got room for the maintenance shelter material. And if that is more than what we want to spend for taxes, if we move forward with the flooring, then do we take a look at this for next year? I don't think it's any dire need, but
Will the maintenance addition need a concrete floor or just gravel?
I think gravel is just fine. It's got a pretty, good base of gravel there now, and it's not anything that we would work in. It's just more to keep things out of the weather.
Which direction would be the open end? Is it a direction that the weather would
Yeah,
pretty harsh?
yeah, no. We would line it right off the back end and probably go right along with the fence, which it would kind of face more would be the east end. The opening would face the east end.
Do you need any more drive space? Do you have to pour any more gravel to have additional driveway or turnaround area?
If we needed to do anything, we'd maybe need to add a little bit of concrete, not concrete, but gravel to more level it out, because it does kind of slope down a little bit. But that would be it. I really don't see any reason to spend the money in concrete. It would be just something for weather. And it's just something whether we would want to spend that money on property that we don't own.
I would say, go ahead and, my personal opinion would be to go ahead and see what Clear Creek has to say about it.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Same thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you think that if Clear Creek is good, that you'd be able to get it done this year?
You know, we've got a lot on our plate right now for this year.
So then the purchase probably
Yeah.
wouldn't go until next year?
So maybe that's our tax discussion next year. So there's not real urgency.
You know, I don't, yeah, there's no urgency to get it done, to get it all covered up this winter, but it's just winter after winter after winter and the rain during the summer and that kind of thing, and just things that probably, you know, joints and stuff on the tractors and the bush hog and stuff like that, that just sit out there in the weather. It'd be nice to keep it dry and out of the weather.
Yeah, it's hard on burns.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's something that if we take care of, there's no reason why this thing couldn't last 20, 25 years, but, you know, it just, yeah, I just think that would decrease if we just ignore it and leave it set out in the weather.
Protect our investments, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're good to go talk to Clear Creek on it?
Sure.
Find out what their take is on it, and if it's something that they're in support of, then we can continue the discussion.
Okay,
Good?
that would be,
New business A? Okay, courts and security update.
that may be pretty short and to the point. I mean, we've got a, why I put my name down was because, I don't know, he's coming out Tuesday. I
Tomorrow
think-
at 3?
Yes, tomorrow at 3. And, I didn't know what your schedule was like, but you wasn't available. I didn't know if there was any questions or anything that, you know, you, the board would want me to follow up with, ask him,
I'll be there tomorrow too,
Okay.
so, but if you guys have anything specific.
any input on
This
it.
is-
No, you know
this is-
what we want.
Yeah, this is to talk about electronic card reader technology, doors, gates, all that kind of stuff. Give them a tour of the buildings that we have, the burn area, which is obviously one of our high priority areas as far as gate and security, so. See
My
what they
only
have to say
question
tomorrow.
would be, you know, what, do they have any history on, we get all these things done out here, how much does it break down, how many problems do they have? You know, if all of a sudden his job becomes harder because somebody can't get in a gate, and
Yep.
that's the only thing I would be, I'd like to know the longevity of this stuff and how much, how
Kind of
reliable it's
warranty,
gonna
what
be.
kind of service, repair.
How quick they can get out here if something goes wrong.
I think that was your concern too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we had a conversation about that.
We did have a meeting with him earlier, but it got canceled, so it was before this meeting, so.
Yeah, so we should have something, the next board meeting, we talk about what comes out of tomorrow's meeting.
So is that a,
I think that's an old business.
I don't know if you guys ever go to Costco for gas, but it's a good example of when you're using cards. And a tenant is going back and forth all day long because someone can't figure out how to use this card or it's not working, or that kind of thing. So, I mean, that's probably gonna be, that would be my emphasis on giving everybody in the neighborhood a card to get into this place, that place, and this place, and then he's gonna be responsible for, or.
Well, the nice thing about those card readers is you can actually schedule the times that they're allowed to be used and not. So you can shut
Yeah.
it down where it doesn't matter if you're trying
Right,
to badge in, you
exactly.
can't get in if it's outside hours. And actually, Corson manages the card reader at the building that I work at downtown.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a pretty big building.
Yeah.
So, I know as far as companies and stuff that they do, I don't know what kind of gate reader technology they
Okay.
support typically, or if they do like community stuff, like we're looking for here, so we'll find out tomorrow, hopefully. Okay. So that's OB, right?
yes.
Okay.
This next one on the proposed lake rules, I don't know if we have to table this or what, but I spoke with Kent Hoops, last week and, to discuss, oh, I had that in front of me.
Is that the transom?
Yeah, to
Noise?
discuss, the those rules that we kinda had up in the air. And, he said those last two were really kinda meant to go together. The verbiage he didn't think was worded right, that he was going to, get me back, some of the verbiage that it maybe should have been. And, I never received anything over the weekend, and then I spoke with him, or texted him this morning. He said he'd be, that was first thing this morning, he said he'd be home. I think he must have been flying in from out of town, said he'd be home in about an hour. And then I never did hear anything from him. So at this point, I don't know where it stands. It's kind of their position to tell us what they want in the rule books.
Yeah, and I think, after we looked up the existing rule and compared it with the rules that were being proposed, they seem very, very close as far as what the spirit of the rule was. Maybe the wording was a little bit different, but it seemed
The
like it
last,
already existed.
the last one, I pulled out the rule book and it was almost verbatim what was in the rule book.
Yeah.
So, maybe I suggest that hopefully Kent can come to the board meeting, and, that could be a one vote also, and still get it in the
Yeah.
rule book for,
Yeah.
into January. That'd be my. That'd be old C.
Yep. Okay. That's it. Anybody have any other business you wanna bring up in this meeting, for the January board meeting? If not, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right, everybody, have a great holiday. Ken?
No.
Okay. Have a great holiday. This is the last meeting, with the board until January, so happy holidays. No more meetings. Thank you.
Future, which, I wanna make sure I get your contact information.
Okay.
All right, short executive, guys.
What, do you need help moving furniture or something?
Did you get bored?
How's that, how's that saw work? Got all those walls done? All right. New
Thank you,
line.
sir. Have a good holiday.
bad.
Marty.
Can you text me that picture, Carol?
Yeah. Thank you.
I'll just call you and know what you need.